stay for a moment with how PPAs are perceived, do you think that there is a bit of a feeling that perhaps companies like aluminium producers or others are going out and grabbing all of the cheapest, greenest electricity out there and leaving nothing else for the rest of society? Is that true? Is that what you've been hearing? How would you respond to that?
It's not true, but we have been hearing it. What I would say to this is 2 points. The first one is that any electricity contract, including a PPA, there's always a link to the market price in some way. In the case of a PPA, it's usually the projected capture prices, the forward prices for the renewables. That's always the basis for the negotiation. Second point, perhaps even more important, is that as you add more renewables to the system, the market price decreases. So the big challenge that we have ahead of us is that we need to finance massive volumes of renewables to get them onto the system. And one of the big benefits of a PPA is that it has created a new path into the market for renewables. So historically, we've had government-backed CFDs, which were the key tool to bring renewables online. Now, increasingly, we're seeing PPAs as an alternative additional route where instead of signing a CFD, which are limited volumes, you can sign a PPA and it's a more private investment, the consumer financing the project. So that will bring more renewables online, and over time, this will lead to lower market prices to the benefit of every single consumer.
So this is essentially private corporations paying for new wind and solar farms in Europe. So it's really going to be quite a significant part of the overall energy transition. And I really like the point you make about every route to market, because we talk a lot about PPAs, but in the end it is one route to market. It's one way that we can add more renewables to the system with all the rest of the tools in the toolbox that we have.
Exactly, and I think that if you look at the scale of the challenge we have ahead of us and the different situations involved in different investments, it's important to push for all of these options to be open, make sure that PPAs are an option, make sure that merchant investments are an option as well.
Yeah, and a CFD, for instance, a contract for difference, which is also a big way that we'll bring renewables online, but also can be combined with a PPA. So yeah, very much in favour of that. Let's try everything we can really to just bring all the renewables we need online.
Exactly, and that point you just mentioned was one of the things that we really like about the proposal, making it crystal clear that it is possible to combine a PPA and a CFD for the same project. That's fantastic.
I think we've talked about really the big benefits of PPAs for energy buyers, for energy suppliers, some of the challenges that we've seen that have arisen from the energy crisis, which is totally understandable. But, now as we look to, what the perfect situation would be for even more companies to be going out to sign renewable energy deals, PPAs, what are the other barriers? What do we need to tackle for that to happen?
Exactly. This is precisely what we need to be looking at as part of this reform, how we can identify these barriers and overcome them. What I would say is that the barriers tend to differ quite a bit between different categories of consumers, so it's important to look at each of them and deal with them. From the perspective of an electro-intensive consumer, an aluminium producer in my case, the big challenge that we still see is the need to match the variable renewable production to our consumption, which is a lot more flat, it's baseload. So that creates the need to shape the electricity. This creates various costs and risks as well that have to be managed. So what we would call for would be market-based schemes that help us to de-risk this exercise, help more industrial consumers sign PPAs, and the green pool that is being pushed by Greece is a fantastic example of a measure that can help more companies sign PPAs, ensure that competitive power supply to them, and bring more renewables online as well.
So I think that education piece is really, really key, because I think, lots of companies want to decarbonise, they know their responsibilities, how to get them to really go out there, sign these renewable energy deals. So, resource has a role to play, companies working together in different countries, like the green pool is for sure a very positive development to really, untangle, demystify these very, very complex topics. I mean, you said energy shaping. Explain to us simply what energy shaping is. What would a company need to do to shape their energy?
Exactly. So in order to do that, you have to turn the profile of the production in order to match your consumption profile. So typically this is done by trading electricity in the market, which is what causes these additional costs and the risks involved as well, because you're not sure far ahead of time exactly the volumes that will be produced by the RES plants and when they will be produced. So any de-risking tools that can help make this exercise easier will be of a massive benefit for signing more PPAs.
And that's a really important point as well, because I think something else that's on people's minds is, the sun is not always shining. It's very nice and sunny today here in Brussels, but it's not always shining in Brussels. The wind is not always blowing. So, shaping and being able to really find that accurate matching to deliver the electricity when you want it and, the volumes that you need is key there.
This is precisely the starting point that we used for the green pool that has been developed in Greece, combining multiple different RES assets, different locations and different technologies as well. So what we see is that wind and solar in particular have extremely complementary production profiles. So when it's not sunny, nighttime, it's more likely to have wind, seasonal fluctuations as well. So combining them really helps as a starting point to make this shaping exercise more easy and cheaper as well.
Fabulous. So easy and cheap, that's what we really want from the energy transition, for corporates to be able to do this at the level and scale that we need.
Exactly.
So I think, wrapping up a little bit, it is EU Sustainable Energy Week. This is a really exciting moment to, see where we are in the energy transition and where we need to go. It's been a very serious last 12 months. So I guess, what is your call if, the Energy Commissioner is tuning in, if the Rapporteur in the Parliament is listening to us, what would you really say? What does the energy buyer need from this market design proposal?
I would say firstly, stop fiddling with the markets. We need a properly functioning electricity market, liquid, competitive, and that will bring all of the benefits that we've seen over the past 10 years. Beyond that, we would call for look at and introduce targeted and market-based schemes that can help more companies sign PPAs, overcome the remaining barriers. It's a win-win on every side of the equation.
Absolutely. No, I couldn't agree more. And really, Resource was founded with that in mind. How can we make it easier for companies, work with these market tools that have developed and are so fantastic for companies to decarbonise, and really just, help get more companies on board and really deliver this. We need a huge amount of renewables. We want to keep industry in Europe. We need to give them cheap, green electricity. So, it's critical we get this right.